Corporate layoff announcements just spiked to the highest level since the pandemic. The unemployment rate ticked back up, manufacturing employment fell back into recession territory, and the Atlanta Fed GDP estimates for Q1 have pretty much turned negative. The media is pretty much screaming for recession, which pretty much spooks consumers into tightening their wallets. The savings rate should go up and consumer spending should fall. But the fear, uncertainty, and doubt might be exactly what the Trump administration wants to see as they attempt to reset the economy. An economic reset is the methodical approach to get interest rates lower by slowing the economy enough to break inflation while avoiding recession. Now that sounds good, but the market isn't gambling with the avoid recession part, considering the length and magnitude of the trade war is unknown. Now, if people do expect a recession to come, they will slow their spending, inflation will break. But the tricky part is tracking the speed at which the economy slows and knowing when policymakers will actually step in. Now, Trump admits there will be pain and more than half of the market is already rolling over, but the ISM, manufacturing, and services are still in expansion territory, with the ISM employment up for the third month in a row, and the economy grew 150,000 jobs in the month of February. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley have GDP between 1.5 and 1.7%. That's not a recession. But more importantly, the Fed and the Treasury are loaded with stimulus, which makes this much different than the setup from 2018. In 2018, the Fed was actually raising interest rates, and once the economy rolled over, Trump was all out of stimulus because he exhausted the tax cut stimulus earlier in his presidency. But today, Trump has a lot more cards. Tax cuts, deregulation, and good old infrastructure spending. As a matter of fact, the TGA, the government spending account, is fully loaded and just started unleashing fiscal liquidity into the economy. Over $300 billion has already been drained, and that liquidity goes into commercial and regional banks. And what do you know? Bank deposits are on the rise. And what do banks do when they have more deposits? They create more loans. And we see bank credit growth breaking all-time highs all around the time the TGA began to unleash liquidity. And like we talked about before, a slowing economy leads to an increase in liquidity. And a slowing economy is not a recession. Recessions are the result of an unforeseen shock. And if the market were actually concerned about recession, we would be seeing the dollar on the rise as a flight to safety, a safe haven as a world reserve currency. But instead it's falling, and that makes sense because the US money supply is still accelerating. The global money supply is breaking new all-time highs, so more dollars are being created and liquidity is rising. And this is why gold